So what are the essential attributes of God that only God has? There are 7 of them. Number 1, God is eternal. He has no beginning. He has no end. So when you approach this being, your history is not a factor. The challenge you are facing, your forefathers may have faced it. It's not a limitation to God. He is older than them. The problem you are going through may have existed for 1,000 years. Age is not a factor in his realm. The Bible calls him the ancient of days. And so there is nothing happening to you now that is not older than. So he has cure for it. He is eternal. He has no beginning and he has no end. In 1 Timothy 1:17, the Bible calls him the King eternal, immortal, invincible. Because of this, it calls him the only wise God. The only wise God, to whom belongs honor and glory. So you must first of all understand that the one you are approaching, even time is inside him. So there is no such thing as you came late or God came late. The equation of time is removed in his realm. When God shows up, that is the right time. There's no past or future with him. He is in eternal now because himself is eternity. That's the first attribute of God. Every other thing began after God and inside God. Only God has no beginning. Only God has no end. So there is nothing that is too difficult for him to handle because he knows the origin of all things. Number 2, God is self-existent. And what that means is that God exists in and from himself. He doesn't exist in things. He can put his reality in things, but he exists in and from himself. You and I exist in God. Glory to God. And so outside God, we have no existence. But outside us, God is. So he doesn't need anything to be God, but everything needs him to be what they are. So God exists in and from himself. And that's not all. He also exists for himself. God is the purpose of God. You have a purpose in God. And if you don't fulfill it, your existence is a waste. But God is his own purpose. That means he's not living for anything or for anybody. This is why when you approach God, you approach him with confidence, because he doesn't need anybody's permission to bless you. If they are happy, that's their business. If they are angry, that's their business. He doesn't exist for anybody. As you are here now, even if there's no human being on earth that makes you careful while you take your action, God will make you to be careful while you take action, because you live for God. But when God is taking action, he's not careful about anything. He is living for himself. That's why when God chooses you that he will bless you, nobody can stop it. The anger of anybody is inconsequential. When Samuel came to the house Samuel now came to the house of, what's his name again? Jesse, to bless his children. Jesse chose 7 that he felt were qualified and left David. Samuel looked at all of them, wanted to bless Eliab. God said, I have refused him. I have not rejected him. There's a difference between rejection and refusal. I have refused him. And there was no apology. When he checked all of them, no one was choosing. He checked again, no one was choosing. He now said, is there no other person? They said, well, there's one boy in the forest. He has not baited though. He has been with the animals for 14 days. He will be smelling now. He said, nobody will eat you until that boy comes. And when David come, he said, this is my anointed. He didn't go to Eliab and say, sorry, it's because of, no, there's no explanation. He's self-existent. I've chosen David, my servant. With my holy oil have I anointed him. So if you know what is good for you, align with him. He's the chosen one. I'm telling you this so that anything God tells you, you will do it with audacity. Anything anybody thinks is not a factor. Is the self-existent one that has ordained you. And that's not all. God is immutable. Malachi 3 verse 6. I am the Lord, I change not. I mean, self-existent is Exodus 3:14. I am that I am, have sent you. Then he's immutable. Malachi 3 verse 6. I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore, ye the sons of Jacob are not consumed. You know what that means? It means God does not change, and it also means God cannot change. So when God tells you he will bless you, he won't change his mind. And nobody can change his mind. Nothing can convince him otherwise. So you can bank on God any day, any time. Your circumstance is not potent enough to alter what God has said. If he said it, he will do it. So you can depend on what he says with your life. He is immutable. See, I'm laying a foundation because I want to say some things that are difficult to believe.